What's going on, Raider Nation? This is not JT Goodbrick. It's Vinny Bonsignor. JT was nice enough to let me sit in for the next 3 days as he goes and does what he's got to go do, taking some well-deserved time off. But we are here from noon to 2 p.m. Just heard from Raiders coach Klint Kubiak from OTA. Some interesting tidbits, needless to say, coming out of OTAs. How about a little bit of Trey Zune at right tackle? Some insight on that. Not only has Trey been opening eyes inside the building, without question, but so has Caleb Rogers and Jackson Powers-Johnson over at guard and some other candidates at guard. So when you see the evolution of this offensive line, and I think Caleb Rogers and Jackson Powers-Johnson, I'm not saying they're going to be the starters at both guard spots, but I think what the Raiders like, what they see in terms of that combination, and they like what they see of Trey Zune. So, now getting him on the field, if it's not going to be at guard, how about right tackle, where he would be competing with DJ Glaze, the starter of the last 2 years, and Charles Grant, a rookie draft pick from last year, who the Raiders like at tackle, can also play some guard as well. So day one, at least of the availabilities, and open practice for the media is in the books for Raiders OTAs, and I think that's the big storyline. Seeing Jamon McCoy, the rookie from Tennessee, out there practicing with the Raiders, that's a great sign. A little bit of Max Crosby at least being on the field. It sounds like he's on target to hopefully start training camp, fully ready to go. Same with Kolton Miller, according to Klint Kubiak. So lots to talk about regarding the Raiders after hearing from their head coach. We're going to also hear later on in the show from Kolton Miller. Ashton, Jeanty, and Erick Stokes will be speaking live at the podium. We're going to hear from all three of those players in the 1 o'clock hour. That's kind of where it's scheduled, but we adjust here. We can make it work, whatever happens. We've got the technology to be able to go out live to the facility to hear from those three players. Also at 12:30, the Boston Globe's Ben Volen will be with us to talk about international schedule, streaming schedule for the NFL. I spent time with Ben this week in Orlando at the NFL owners meetings. He always has some great insight. We'll probably talk a little bit about Mike Vrabel and the situation that he finds himself in over there with the Patriots. A lot of controversy, obviously, but we want your thoughts. 702-365-9200. We're talking OTAs. We're talking Klint Kubiak and your reactions from what you heard from Klint Kubiak, and we're going to play the sound from him if you weren't able to catch it live here in just a little bit. We're talking about Raiders ownership change. We talked a lot about this on the morning show. I had a chance to talk to Mark Davis yesterday about the latest percentage sale of the Raiders, 25%, not from his stake in the team. This was a group that bought into the Raiders back in 2007 called First Football, a group of investors. Get this, they bought in at $750 million. That's what the Raiders were valued back in 2007. Talk about how things change. And how things have changed for the better for the Raiders, without a doubt. $750 million was the valuation of the Raiders in 2007 when this group bought 25% from Al Davis at the time. Well, they just sold that same 25% yesterday to a kind of a star-studded group headlined by Egon Durbin, who will eventually own the Raiders outright, and also Michael Meldman and some other names that we're going to get into. That 25% that Football First purchased in 2007 was sold yesterday at a valuation of $9.9 billion. So the investment of about $187 million, give or take a few dollars and change here and there, was just turned into a profit of over $2 billion. Can you imagine that? Maybe we're in the wrong business talking about things rather than investing in some of these things. But, congratulations to them. That's quite the return of interest or return on investment. But really, congratulations to Mark Davis. This is part of his plan to reorganize and pump great vision, great intelligence, great cutting edge on all types of different level thinking to help take the Raiders organization to new plateaus, and that includes on the football field. I mean, Tom Brady was brought in here as a minority owner and remains a minority owner, but he's also part of the decision-making process on the football side of things, along with John Spytek, and obviously those guys have done a fabulous job this offseason. But being able to also pump some different vision and life and energy and expertise into the business side, for me, it always goes hand in hand. If you're a well-rounded organization from top to bottom in every department, you're going to see that. You're going to see that on the business side. You're also going to see that on the football side. And I know Mark Davis, talking to him yesterday, was really ecstatic about getting this final piece put into place in terms of who he's brought with him now to Las Vegas and to the Raiders ownership group, because what he wants to do, he feels like, there's all kinds of new horizons to get to from a business standpoint and an organizational standpoint. But all of that bleeds into what's ultimately important and what ultimately drives this whole thing, and that's the performance on the football field. And the more great thinkers, the more great energy, positive energy. And if I had a nickel for the amount of times that Mark Davis told me everybody being on the same page, everybody being on the same page on the business side and on the football side, and what that can ultimately lead to, that hasn't always been the case. Look, there's trial and error. Mark Davis, when you really think about it, was learning on the job as being an owner. It's not something that you just step into and have an expertise for day one. That takes time, especially in his situation. And it's taken a little bit of time. It took a move to Las Vegas from Oakland. That was a big part of the focus, almost from the moment he took over. Probably the biggest point of focus was finding a home, whether it was in Oakland or in Los Angeles or, obviously, as it turns out, Las Vegas. That took a lot of energy. That took a lot of focus, and there was great uncertainty on where they were going to be and where home base was ultimately going to be, what the future ultimately looked like, what the long-range future ultimately looked like, because that wasn't happening. You couldn't have that vision where they were in Oakland because there was no real future there. That was the whole problem. There was no way to predict and project 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line in the stadium situation that they were in, and that affects everything about where are you going to be, who's going to be the coach, how is this all going to work out. They needed to get that certain. They needed to nail that part of it down, and they finally did. With the fabulous move to Las Vegas, obviously. But now with that comes the long-range future of the football team, and I think slowly but surely they're putting those pieces together, and that included what they did yesterday and what they've been doing over these last couple of years, adding the type of people that they've brought into this organization. And we got a chance to see part of that future today without question. And a guy by the name of Fernando Mendoza out there throwing the ball around with Kirk Cousins and Aiden O'Connell. A couple of familiar names, obviously, but seeing Fernando Mendoza out there, not just with the rookies, but with the veterans, throwing a pass to Ashton, Jeanty, you saw part of the future, and it's the beginning stages of that future. But as Mark Davis told me yesterday, hey, if this guy can play some football, which he was being facetious, obviously he knows he can play football. If this guy can play some football, we're going to be doing some exciting things around here, and I fully endorse that. I believe that. You get that quarterback taken care of, and I think that the Raiders have. It's going to be a process. Don't know when Fernando Mendoza is going to actually start or see the field. I think it's going to be the first game of the season, but that's just me. But whenever it does, they're going to hand it to him for the right reasons, and he's going to be ready for that, and they're going to be ready for him. And I think that it's going to be a pretty rapid progression in terms of his play and also the team's play. We want your thoughts, though, 702-365-9200. In terms of what you thought, from what you were able to see. I know there were a lot of clips on social media, what you were able to hear from Klint Kubiak. So let us know. And Clay, if we have some sound of Klint Kubiak, if you could give me a word on that, if there's something that we can play back to the fans, for fans that haven't heard or weren't able to catch Klint Kubiak live, just let me know when we're ready to be able to do that. But an exciting day for the Raiders today, for a chance for their fans and obviously the media to see them out on the field, to see the players out on the field. They're very exciting, and I thought it's a very I'm not going to call it a monumental day, for the Raiders yesterday with the ownership restructure that happened. But it's an important day, and Mark Davis's reaction to me when we got a chance to talk kind of reaffirmed that part of it to me anyway. I mean, when you talk about the caliber of people that he's been bringing into this organization over the last few years, starting with the Tom Brady, but guys like Egon Durman and Michael Meldman. These are impressive people. These are people that have built empires, people that have built businesses and started things. Co-founder of this, co-founder of that, CEO of this, CEO of that, and these are all businesses that have been successful, cutting edge, and visionary. And to be able to pump that kind of thinking and that kind of vision into the organization in a way that's going to help that side of the building, but also the football side of the building, I think is important. And as Mark Davis told me, look, he's making no qualms about the fact that at some point Egon Durban is going to own the football team. I mean, they already cleared that hurdle in March when the NFL owners approved the succession plan, which basically, what does that mean? It's the succession plan of what happens if when Mark Davis decides to sell the team, who gets first option to buy the team. And then also, there's other scenarios. We don't have to get into all that of why a new owner would need to take over and who would have first option in that kind of a scenario. Well, it's Egon Durban. He is the successor. He will be the successor as the controlling owner when Mark Davis decides to sell the team or something else were to happen. And as Mark Davis told me, Durban is a private man. That's everyone has a different personality. His personality, it seems to be a little bit more behind the scenes. That's probably going to change. It's going to have to change when you become the owner of a professional football team. Your life changes, and all of a sudden now you're on everybody's radar, and people want to hear from you, and the camera's going to be on you. It's just the way it works. And however, the more fans get to know Egon, as Mark told me, the more they're going to love him, because first and foremost, they're going to find out and understand that he wants to win. And I know that's like, it's almost like, well, obviously, if you're the owner of a football team, you want to win. There's no doubt about it. But there's some owners that want to win more than other owners. That's just the fact of the matter. And there's some owners that will go that extra distance because they want to win more than maybe some others. And I think Mark Davis and I think Egon and I think everyone that they've brought into this building are the type of owners that want to do whatever it takes to win. We're going to real quick take a break. When we get back, we're going to hear from Klint Kubiak. When we do, and we want your thoughts at 702-365-9200.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Well, I think our job in the personnel department is to give Klint as many good players as we can, and that fit his vision and his scheme. But I think one of the things we really liked about Klint was, he's got a system that highlights what the players can do. He talked a lot about that in the interviews, and so our job is to use that and go forward with that, and just get him quality people and football players that can bring his offense to life.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny Bonsignor, sitting in for JT the Brick. That was John Spytek, the Raiders general manager, talking about supplying Klint Kubiak, his head coach, with the right players. And Klint Kubiak, in turn, complimented John Spytek about doing exactly that, especially with the draft and free agency. And we're going to hear from Klint Kubiak in case you didn't get a chance to listen to it live or watch it live on the Raiders YouTube channel. Here is Klint Kubiak speaking after today's OTA session from Henderson.
What have you seen in the relationship between Kirk and Fernando? How's that been so far?
Yeah, it's been solid. Coach Tinoco and Coach Sully do a great job in that room, but two really competitive guys. Been really pleased with their work ethic. Aiden has been phenomenal. Can't say enough great things about him.
Even from rookie camp, you've can see the progression from Fernando at under center. Do you feel like he's starting to play a little more out of his head?
Yeah. I think anything that you put in front of him, he's going to attack it, So anything that's new, he spends extra time on it. You can tell he fixes things from one day to the next. Very coachable, and that could be said for all those quarterbacks in the room.
Hey, Klint, there was a moment after stretching where the team got together and everybody was giving other high fives and kind of sharing some camaraderie. Was that an organic thing, or did you build that into post stretching?
I put that on our team leaders. That's important for them to just come together before practice. I thought it was a little too lengthy. We probably lost 2 minutes of practice time right there, so we can dap it up a little quicker next time.
What is your approach to OTAs?
To get these guys in position for training camp, get them in football shape for training camp. Obviously, we're going to evaluate them, but OTAs put you in position for training camp, and then training camp puts them in position for the season.
I know it's early in the process, but Kolton Miller just being on the field. I know you haven't coached him yet, but how important is that just to see him out there participating?
Yeah, very important, and our training staff done a phenomenal job of progressing him, and he's running with the ones today. He's getting quality reps. And I think he's ahead of schedule. He's a competitive guy. Really counting on him this year.
Coach, you mentioned getting the guys ready for training camp. How much progression have you seen from Jamad McCoy in rookie camp to where he is right now?
Yeah, he's been excellent. He's come in here and worked his tail off. Doing everything that we've asked him to do. He's got out there on the practice field and has shown the player that we've seen on tape. So just looking forward to progressing him along with all those new DBs. It's an impressive group. Really well-coached group by Joe and Matt and Robbie. Very competitive young men right now in that defensive back room.
What is the plan with Jamad in terms of managing what the health situation is? I mean, are you guys comfortable with him just going full speed at practice right now, or what is the process there?
Yeah, I think Alex Guerrero has a great plan for him as far as how many yards we give him a day, the rest that we give him, the time on the field as opposed to the turf. But the great thing about Jamad thus far is he's responded really well.
We saw Max Crosby out there stretching with the team. I was wondering, where is he at in the recovery process, and does the team still anticipate him to be ready by training camp?
Yeah, we do. That's the goal. He's still the first one in this building every day working. He's the leader on our team, and when he's out there, you feel his presence. And, yes, we're counting on him being there for training camp, and, wouldn't be surprised if Max was ahead of schedule.
How important was it that he was out there, though, stretching and going through it with his guys?
Yeah. That's just in his DNA. You didn't have to ask him to do that. He's going to be there as much as possible, and he knows that we're counting on him to be a leader. So, he's showing his face, but he's also very engaged in the meetings, and he's one of those guys you got to say whoa to. You got to pull him back. He might jump in there in team period if you're not watching. He's that competitive. Really fired up to get to coach him.
How important is it to take pressure off Ashton, especially if Mike can produce this year?
We want to put a lot of pressure on Ashton. The next guy that steps up, whoever that may be, that's going to be seen here in practice, OTAs, and training camp. But we think we should continue to challenge Ashton and get more out of him.
I mean, it's from a durability standpoint, where the load is on him.
Yeah, I said that before. I think it's important to have a quality second back, but the best players got to play, and we got to get them on the field as much as we can. I don't know the play snap percentage, but you look at Christian McCaffrey, his play snap percentage is high. So those are great backs. They don't want to come off the field.
You saw the passion that Kirk plays with out on the field, moving guys around, getting them in the right spots, and also getting hyped up after that first down. What has his leadership and kind of energy brought to this team?
Yeah, he's a professional. He's played a lot of football. He's a leader that we're counting on right now. You see that side of him when it gets competitive. That was fun to get that move the ball period and get guys off of scripts and see how they respond. And, you see the fire come out, and that's what I want from our guys.
You're just talking about Ashton, but a lot of those second-year players on the team, like Ashton, Jack Bech, Jeanty, big parts of those offense. How important is it to make sure that they have a second-year lead going into this next year for the offense?
Yeah, we're counting on them. We're counting on them to produce for us. The good thing is there's competition, with Bech and, with DT. There's a lot of competition in that receiver room, and may the best man win.
What have you noticed from Tyler Linderbaum so far at commanding the line?
Just a quiet confidence, just a man out there running the show. Very athletic player, but a grown man.
Coach's stepbrother's not in the schedule release. What were your thoughts on the acting skills of Fernando and Kirk?
Yeah, I'd love for him to focus on football more.
Rob is a first-time defensive coordinator. You're a first-time head coach. How much input will you have on the defensive side of the ball here, especially in OTAs?
Yeah, no, we're working together. We're teaming up on these installs, but Rob's running the show. He's done a great job. He's got a lot of talented assistants. With Joe Woods, and there's some veteran coaches on there that are doing a great job. And we're gonna put Coach Robbie in positions to call it periods here in OTAs and in training camp, so that he's ready to go come the season.
What's been your impressions of Fernando Mendoza thus far, and the way he's been trying to pick up the offense?
As advertised, he is not disappointed. He's working his tail off. It's very important to him. Asks a lot of great questions. When he gets on the field, he's no BS. He's all ball.
Is there anything that you've learned through this OTAs process about being a head coach and kind of taking that step back and taking control of the entire team rather than just the offense?
Yeah, obviously learning that on the fly. We hired these assistants for a reason, so we got to trust them to do their jobs. And I know the Raiders brought me here for a reason as well. To coach offense, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time with the offense, and got to make sure I get that right, all the while being with the whole team. But Robbie Leonard and Joe DeCamillis, two phenomenal coaches that I'm really happy to have leading their units.
What is Terrell Johnson's status, and also didn't see Kobe being out there today either?
Yeah, it's a voluntary time of year. Can't wait to get those guys back. Really fired up for the guys that are here. Been in contact with both of those guys, and they've been doing a great job. Some here, some away.
What are the signs that you'll see that Fernando is making progress, that he's making the strides you want him to make?
Completions, getting the ball to the playmakers and letting them work on time. That's the progress we want to see.
Speaking of playmakers, one of the guys you talked about early on when you took the job was Trey Tucker. What have you seen from him now that you guys have actually been on the field a little bit?
Really no surprise there from what you've seen previously. He can run all day. He's a quiet leader, a guy that we're going to put in a leadership role. He's got to be a playmaker for us, and he has been. And now let's go see what else we can get out of him.
I know you don't want to make comparisons, but does he remind you of somebody you may have coached in the past with his skill set?
Yes. It's not. Sometimes that's not fair to say out loud, but when you got a guy that's that size and that competitive and works that hard, there's not a whole lot of humans on the planet that can put as many yards on the field at that high of a speed. So he's been really impressive.
That was Klint Kubiak earlier today, just about within the hour. Now we're going to go live to Henderson, where Ashton Jeanty, second-year running back for the Raiders, is getting ready to talk to the media.
Season that really helped you win in the leadership?
I think just how the pace of an NFL game, how everything happens quicker. So just speeding up my process and, how I operate, each and every single play.
Coach Kubiak talked about putting a lot of pressure on you in terms of, one, your percentage of snaps to be very high, likened it to someone like Christian McCaffrey's. How much do you look forward to that increased workload?
I look forward to it a lot. I mean, obviously, I'm going to help the team win as much as I can. And, if I don't have to, I don't want to come off the field.
It's early, but Fernando Mendoza, Kirk Cousins, what have they brought to this offense so far?
Yeah, I think just, great energy and, obviously Kirk playing in the league a while, just that experience, leadership, Fernando as well, obviously being a rookie, but, he did some special things in college and, he's going to continue to learn and help lead as well.
How much have you watched guys like Kenneth Walker from, the former tape film, Christian McCaffrey, some of the other guys that Kubiak has worked with, and thought about what your future and his offense could look like?
Yeah, been watching them a lot. Been watching Christian since college. Watched Kenneth Walker in college too now. So watching the NFL tape, running the same scheme they're running is super excited to be able to watch them and then apply my game to it.
What has been your impressions of Klint Kubiak? Just from our interaction with him, it seems like he's very all ball and nothing else. So is he like that? Is he like that in the meeting room?
Nah, he's not all ball, but he definitely is. He's about his business while we're in the building. But we still have a good time. He still cracks a couple jokes, but we're definitely just trying to get better each and every single day, and he's just trying to translate that to us.
And I saw that during the offseason you incorporated boxing into like your workout routine. How often did you do that during the offseason, and what benefits did you get from it?
Just a couple times, but I think the biggest thing is just cardio, getting into shape, and then just reaction, hand speed, and I feel like that'll translate in pass pro.
Revamped O-line and getting a guy like Tyler Linderbaum, how much do you think that will translate to your success this season?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, those big guys up front, they do a lot of hard work. So having another great guy in the building is tremendous for us, and just super excited to continue to work with them and make this rushing attack great.
Ashton, what is it like for you going into year 2 now? You didn't really know what you were stepping into last year as a rookie, but now here you are, second-year guy now.
It's exciting, man. I think just continuing to learn, get better, grow as a player, and, just help the team be better.
Last season, we talked a little bit about you doing the little things in terms of blocking, being available in the pass game. What did you learn about yourself personally and professionally last season when things weren't going your way?
Just to continue to push through. Obviously, it was a tough season, but I think there was a lot of moments where I could have been better, pushing myself more, my teammates more. So, going in this year, just focus on getting way better.
How excited are you about Kolton Miller's return to the field, and how does his presence change the dynamic of this offense?
Yeah, I mean, he's a great leader, great player. He's been around here for a long time, so super excited to have him back on the field playing with us.
Have you approached the offseason differently with 1 year within the NFL under your belt?
Yeah, I'd say just my routine. Obviously, rookie year, you don't really get a true off season, so still, even this year, this is my first real one. So figuring out, how I want my diet to be, what time I want to train, when do I want to start training, when should I take a vacation. So just dialing all those things so I can be ready to go.
How much slower has the game started to feel for you mentally going into year 2?
A lot slower. So just focusing in more on the details, what the defense is doing, how we're blocking things, coverage, all that type of stuff. So it's definitely slowing down, and I think it's also just repetition as well. The more you rep it, the more the game slows down.
You talked about kind of starting. You talked about kind of starting over from. I'm sorry. You talked about kind of starting over in terms of this offseason kind of being your first official one, but considering all the changes that this franchise went through during the offseason, does it kind of feel like you're kind of starting over in a weird way?
Nah, I mean, I think we've obviously added a lot of new players, new staff again, but as far as, I guess you could say, scheme-wise, yeah, but, as far as the work we're putting in, how we're getting better, I mean, those things stay the same, just continuing to grow.
What's different is your job in this offense. We talk about what the offensive line does, what the scheme kind of asks of a player, but for your job specifically, how different is it?
I wouldn't say it's that different. I mean, just be great in all 3 phases, the run game, pass game, and pass protection.
What do you think of Mike Washington's bar?
Yeah, I think he's going to be a great player for us. I like how he's coming to work and, just putting his head down and trying to get better each and every single day. So just super excited to have him in the room.
Talk about getting into a more of a routine now into your second season. Is there any other running backs around the league that you've reached out to, or even your own teammates that have kind of helped you in terms of trying to craft a better routine that fits you better?
Yeah, I mean, I think just looking at what I've done and just trying to critique that, but also just talking to other guys who've been in the league a while. Obviously, he's not here anymore, but Raheem was the guy I talked to about that. At the Fanatics flag football game, I was talking to Alvin Kamara a lot. So just trying to learn and take things from different people and, apply it to myself.
We saw a fair bit of passion out of Kirk Cousins on the field today, moving guys around, hyped up after some plays. What has his leadership and energy kind of brought to this team?
It's great. Like I said, he has the experience. And then also, like you're saying, I mean, he's bringing that energy, and he's a passionate football player, and everybody loves that.
Ashton, you had some nice plays out there today. How good did it feel to have those plays this early in the process of learning a new scheme?
It feels good. I mean, just continuing to get better and know my assignments. So in the biggest moments, when I'm called on, I'll be ready to go. So it starts right now.
You mentioned watching CMC and Kenneth Bucker and that sort of thing. What are some of the takeaways or things that you might have learned from watching what they've done in this offense?
Yeah, just just in the run game, just being explosive off the ball, running great tracks, great footwork, and then in the pass game, being an asset, running great routes, and then protection, of course, protecting the quarterback.
Okay, thank you guys. Please.
That was Raiders running back Ashton Jeanty live from the Raiders facility in Henderson after a day, I forget what day it is actually of OTAs, but the way the media works, we get one opportunity out of every 3 sets of OTAs. So this was the day that was designated as an open practice. There'll be another one next week and the week after, and shortly after that is mandatory minicamp. But Ashton was speaking after today's session, which was viewed by the media, and had some nice things to say about Mike Washington, the rookie running back from Arkansas, but also made it very clear, I don't want to come off the field, nor should he want to come off the field. And so it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out, because I remember a lot of running backs say, if I'm not tapping the top of my helmet, I'm not coming out. So don't even think about it. We'll see if Ashton gets to that level, but I think it's going to be a very powerful duo between he and Mike Washington. However, the snaps get sorted out. It's the JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny B. We're going to be going back and forth to the facility today to hear from some of the players. Up next, they're going to be Kolton Miller and Erick Stokes. Not quite sure the order of that, but we will bring it to you live. We also want your thoughts, 702-365-9200.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Jalen Royals motions back to the right side in the slot. Oladoke in the snap. Comes up firing. A screen right side for Rashard Smith. Nice play on the outside, and Stokes drives him back at the 35. Tackle for a loss. He got outside the block, dropped him for a 3-yard loss.
That was the voice of the Raiders, Jason Horowitz, talking about Erick Stokes making a big play, and Erick is now speaking over at the Raiders practice facility in Henderson following today's OTA practice.
You were had a chance to go to free agency this year. What was it about this place that had you want to come back?
Man, it's the relationships in the building that I got with the people that people just don't see on the daily. The nutritionists, the training room, it's just all the little small people that you handle with on the daily that you pretty much see. That's one of the main things that made me want to come back. It pretty much felt like family, and it's hard to leave family. So pretty much that was the main thing.
Did you know going into the process this was probably going to be where you would end up?
For sure. I knew, regardless, if everything came down to it, I wanted to come back to Vegas. Vegas was my #1 team, my #1 option. Made me feel like since day one, since I done got here, pretty much opened me with welcome orange and all this stuff. And, man, it's just pretty much I just want to come back to it. This is home now.
And do you then kind of feel like a recruiter? You have some new teammates that spoke highly of you, or what were you telling them about some of those things, getting them to come here?
Man, you know what? I love to hear that. But of course, I always love my Georgia dogs, Kobe, Quay, and all them boys. But that's one of the biggest things. So the moment I was trying to figure out everything, man, I was trying to talk to Quay, all this stuff. I ain't even know Cole was coming for real until maybe a few days, but Quay was the biggest one that I always just kept a little ear in and all that stuff and all that, because I knew everything that was just going on. So that was one of the main ones that I definitely wanted to hear.
What was that reuniting process like once you guys finally got here and saw each other?
It was actually fun. So I was already texting Quay just beforehand, before he even came out here, just doing little things and all that stuff and all that. We were just keeping up. He was just like, just let me know how everything go and all that stuff, because pretty much he wanted to know where I was going too. And I was pretty much, I really didn't know either, but pretty much once I figured out where I was going, it was just more so just like, hey, I'm going here. I'll let you know. Like, it was just more so, he just kept saying, I'll let you know. But it was more so just like, I feel like that you could be here with me and all that stuff. So once the time came and all that stuff, I think I knew maybe like a day before, maybe like, or pretty much whatever. So it was just pretty much, I loved it. I love that.
I know it's early in the process, but Robbie Leonard's now the defensive coordinator. What has that been like so far for you?
I love Rob, man. I love Rob. It's been different to where, like, just it's his first time being a DC, but he's handling everything good. Just the day-to-day, every little thing, the leaders and all this stuff to where he's pushing everybody just to be great. And that's the one thing that I love about Robbie. He will push you, motivate you, and do everything to be better.
What have you thought about the new guys in the secondary that they drafted and brought in?
I love the new guys. Like, I just can't wait to see how they go develop and how they go move on from this thing, especially coming from college to the league. It's always a challenge, but I feel like that we got the right guys and we got the right people in the room to help them grow.
How do you want to grow in your role this year?
Man, I just want to be a leader. I want to show everybody that I can actually lead, that I can actually be something other than just when I am, to where I want to be able to be everything, just be there for you, just know, pretty much own in off the field that you got a brother. I don't want you to feel like that you're alone or pretty much anything. I want us to be connected in the DB room. Like, one thing that Klint always say, we pretty much connected. And that's one thing that I'm going to drive in my DB room, to where it's any little thing going on, man, we are brotherhood. We could go out, we could do everything. We could celebrate together. We could go to dinners together. We could be pretty much like a family. This would be like college to me, all back in Athens. Like, I just want to get that vibe again. So that's me.
How does that feel for you, being the guy and, it's your DB room, right? You're elder statesman there.
Oh, I feel good. I mean, it feels good, something new. But then again, it's something that I've been looking forward to. So I've been wanting this. I've been wanting a leader role. I've been wanting something like this and all that stuff. So now the opportunity's here, I'm finna embrace it full force. Like, it's gonna be ups and downs. It's pretty much like a roller coaster. I'm going through growing pains with this and all that stuff and all. But it's just a learning curve that I'm ready to take on.
Everything you've been through in your career, injury-wise, how much does that make you appreciate this moment, this season even more?
Man, a lot. Just being here, talking in front of all y'all and everything, I don't take none of this for granted no more. Like, the little thing that I used to take for granted rookie year, I don't take day by day. I don't take practice. I don't take a rep. I don't take absolutely anything for granted, because at the end of it, pretty much all of this can be gone. So, man, I'm embracing every new role that I can, going through the growing pains with it, and learning and pretty much learning from it.
That you answered a lot of questions last year. First, by just being on the field for every game, and then just being as consistent as you were. How personally satisfying was that season for you to just take whatever people said about you and reverse that narrative?
Man, it was a good feeling. I ain't even gonna lie to you. It was a great feeling. Just knowing, just going out there and doing everything. It's just so much. It's just proving myself again, to where I know I'm like that. And it just pretty much just going out there and showing everybody day in and day out. It's like, nah, I'm really like that. Like, y'all, like, I just got one little injury, whatever, and all the other stuff is not that. Like, I know who I am, and every day I got to come out here and prove it to you day in and day out that I'm really that.
What does Quay Walker bring to the defense, and how does he help you do your job?
Man, Quay, he just brings another little intensity. You need another little. Pretty much, it's kind of cliche, but you need another dog out there to where, like, it's always just feel good having somebody that's like, man, I know for a fact, like, no matter what he say, it may be good or bad, I know it's coming out of love. Like, I know that you're doing everything that you want me to do just to push me and all that stuff, to help me be a better person, to help me be a better leader. Because, man, again, I done seen Quay since his freshman year. He was my locker, but it was my locker, somebody else's locker, and then Quay. So I've done seen Quay grow up from his freshman year and all this stuff. So just being able there, so I know some of the things that he say and all that stuff, we can go ahead and go back and forth. Like, man, it ain't no hard fouls, ain't none of that stuff. Like, I know whatever me and you saying to each other, it's just all love.
Switch up your jersey number.
Yeah. Let's get it to it. Okay, so my high school number was number 5, but the biggest reason was I was a big Reggie Bush fan growing up. So I wanted number 5 growing up. I wanted to throw up the Trojan. I wanted to throw up the little. I wanted to go to USC and all that stuff and all, because I was a big Bush fan. So just growing up, I was a running back doing all that stuff. I wanted 5, and that was just memorable to me. So it just bring back childhood memories, just bring back so much of the other little things. I just love number 5.
You mentioned things being a little bit different with Rob Leonard as defensive coordinator. Have you seen like any differences from him going from the defensive line role to defensive coordinator?
Just more a detail to every little thing. To now he's just not, pretty much what you said, he's not in control of just the D line or anything. He got to control everything. He got to make sure everybody's working together and all that stuff. And so far he's been doing great. Been making sure everybody been detailed, everybody been on their assignments, and we just not in here just to waste time. We in here being productive with any little time that we have.
how big has Joe Woods been for him, kind of controlling the back end, the coverages and everything like that, with him being a defensive coordinator for the first time?
Man, it's been good. Joe out there, he's actually doing what Joe can do and all that stuff, just showing what type of person he is, showing the type of install that he want to do, the techniques that he want to do and all that stuff. It's been a good little feel, and I really can't wait to see how Joe go continue to grow, because I know Joe is Joe is a great coach. Joe is a great coach.
How important was that continuity, though, to keep Joe Woods in that position?
It was good. That was another little big thing that I was looking at and all that stuff. But keeping Joe here is unbelievable, because everybody loves Joe in the DB room. It's hard to not love Joe. Joe is a whole entertainment show. Like, Joe is funny, and I love Joe, man.
What have you thought about Jeanty McCoy?
Oh, it could be. I can't wait to see. Still dealing with whatever he got going on with the knee. But I really can't wait to see how type of person he is. He's smart. I really can't wait.
Just what has been your impressions of Klint Kubiak thus far? Like, I asked Ashton Jeanty the same question, but like from our perspective, it's like he just all ball, just locked in on football and grinding on film. Just what have you seen from Kubiak, and what do we not know that you guys know from behind the scenes?
Nah, me and you got the same pretty much thing. It's all ball with him, and that's what I pretty much love. To where like he steps up and he ain't taking no little giggles, no nothing. Like, we about business. We coming in, we doing this and doing that. Like, ain't no other little unnecessary stuff going on, and none other stuff. Like, nah, he just straight ball. I only seen one tone from him. I ain't seen no other different tone, no nothing. He just pretty much one tone, and just all ball. I love it.
How beneficial is to kind of get that out of a coach, knowing that there's not going to be highs or lows. He's just going to be the same way all the time. How beneficial is that for you?
It's great, because you already just know just coming into it. Like, it don't matter how the thing goes, whatever goes. Like, you could be you, and that's what you always want from a coach. Like, I don't need no roller coaster. I don't need none of that. Like, nah, you just be you. Like, everything else will happen. But as long as you stay calm, as long as you stay neutral, everything else good.
That's it. Cool. Thank you.
See y'all.
That's one of my favorites right there, Erick Stokes. Got to know him last year, his first season with the Raiders. Former first-round pick by the Green Bay Packers. Came here on a one-year prove-it deal. The issue in Green Bay was never about talent. It was staying healthy. And the Raiders felt like they had a really good plan in place to keep him healthy, and that's exactly what happened last year. And Erick really had a breakthrough year, earned himself a nice 3-year contract to stay. I think that was a big part of their offseason. Kind of gets lost a little bit with who they brought in free agency and some of the things that they've done in the draft. But having that veteran presence over there at cornerback, I thought was a pretty big deal for him. And now see what happens on the opposite side of him with Darian Porter and Jeanty McCoy, who was out there practicing today. And you talk about the Raiders' plan to keep Erick Stokes healthy last year. It sounds like, with the Raiders training staff and Alex Guerrero kind of leading the charge there, that they have a plan in place for McCoy, and it's not about health right now for him. And his knee injury was at the end of the 2020, near the end of the 2024 season. I want to say it was during a playoff game, actually. I could be wrong on the actual week, but it was late in the season. And so he missed all of last season, rehabbing from a very serious knee injury, but was able to get it onto the practice field at some point last year. Scouts got a chance to watch him actually practice a few times, and was, doing his thing at his Tennessee Pro Day and showing extraordinary athletic ability despite coming off that injury. So it wasn't like, oh my gosh, he's not going to be able to pass a physical right now, and he's not going to be able to get on the field right now. That's going to be a long delay. It's not that. It was, hey, there's some concerns about the longevity of the knee. There's a possibility of doing a subsequent surgery to perhaps enhance that longevity, but there's major risk with that type of surgery, because if it goes wrong or if it doesn't work, it could actually have the reverse effect and make him unable to play. So I think what the Raiders' plan is right now, at least what I've been able to detect and what seems to be playing out, is get them on the field, put together a plan to really preserve as much as you possibly can the knee, and that's going to be come down to reps and management and threat. And it's not pain management; it's work management, and letting your experts decide. Okay, this is the best course of action to get the most out of this player for as long as possible, and that obviously benefits the team, but it also benefits him. He wants to hear that too. What do I have to do? What can we do to make this career as long as possible? There's no guarantees. It's football. It's physical. You're gonna, you're one play away from your career ending. That's just the facts of the matter. So we don't need to get into that. In terms of, hey, if everything else goes right, or if everything, goes right, what can we do to help at least provide the opportunity, the chance for the knee to hold up as long as possible? And it feels like the Raiders have done exactly that. We are going to take a quick break. We are also going to hear from Kolton Miller when we get back. He's going to take the podium here over at the practice facility when we get back. It's the JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny Bonsignor. We want your thoughts, 702-365-9200.
Like in the old days.
Hour number 2 of the JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny Bonsignor, sitting in for JT the Brick. We've been going back and forth to Henderson, Nevada, the Raiders practice facility. And Clay, if you can let me know when Kolton is ready to go, we'll send it. Okay, Kolton Miller is now getting ready to talk to the media over at the practice facility. Let's send it to Henderson.
How are you feeling physically right now?
Feeling good. Feels good to be back out there with the guys. I'm really excited and enjoying the process.
How important is this mentally for you to be on the field this early on, knowing that you still have a ways to go to get ready for week 1?
Oh, great. Yeah. I've my only other, my last hiccup, with my shoulder, I was, ready by the season. So, it's great to have all this time, to get back ready. It feels really good to be back out there.
And how excited are you about the changes that they made, the additions they made on the line to bring in some people that you are familiar with? And
I love it.
You guys can get it together as a line.
Yeah, I love it. Tyler's been great. He's, he just gelled right in. Great guy. Love working with them, and we have our rookies, and everyone's working real hard and getting the most out of what we can for OTAs. So it's been real great.
Kolton, how difficult is it,
especially Spence? Yeah, Spence too.
To quickly pick up that outside zone blocking scheme?
The outside zone. What was the question?
Just how challenging is it, I guess, to pick up that scheme?
Yeah, I mean, it's like everyone has their techniques and things we're learning this year. Again, it's just just got to put in the work and, getting everyone on the same page. But the process has been going really great so far.
What's it been like working with Coach Dennison?
Rico, yeah. No, it's been great. He's been in the Kubiak family for a while. He's had a lot of success. So, it's been great to work with him.
As the longest tenured Raider, you've seen a lot of regime changes. What feels different so far about this one for you?
It's, new faces, and we're all getting to know each other right now. The process has been really great. Kurt, he's been a real, vocal guy. He wants to get the most of it out of everybody. Fernando, he's been, like a sponge. So, overall, the team is looking really good.
Consistency is key for any offensive line, and obviously that's something that you guys just build through reps. But as players, what can you guys do maybe off the field to kind of expedite that process?
Yeah, during OTAs right now, we have a new system, so we're just trying to learn as much as we can. We're meeting before, meeting after. So really optimizing your time as best you can is the best way to do it.
What else you just mentioned Fernando being like a sponge trying to soak in all this information, but what else has stood out to you since he's been in the building?
I haven't been, in the QB room, but, he's always wired, taking notes, and then just seeing him, on the field, it's new to him, but he's handling it great.
Just what have been your impressions of Klint Kubiak as a coach? He seems like he's just all ball, nothing else, just locked in on football. So what have you seen from him? What's he like behind the scenes?
Behind the scenes, well, behind the scenes. Well, it's his approach. It's he wants the best out of everybody. He's direct. He's there's no fluff. Everything's straightforward, real with him, and we all appreciate that.
Having all these new guys at the line, how much does off the field chemistry translate to on the field chemistry?
I think hanging out outside the building is real important. The rookies got in, last week, so we, had dinner, had some Korean barbecue. But no, yeah, that's all part of like building chemistry. I know we spend so much time during OTAs, and it seems like we don't have a lot of time off. But I think going the extra mile and having dinner every now and then, getting the guys together is really important.
You talked about learning the scheme, but how different physically is what a left tackle is asked to do in this scheme from maybe what you were asked to do in other ones? What's
different? It's we're still learning. There's a lot to get installed, but it's like everything's new. So it's all part of the learning process right now.
More importantly, how many takes did you and Tyler have to do, and which one of you did you think was the better actor?
No, I thought we nailed it pretty. I mean, we were in and out pretty quick. I thought it was hilarious, too. I love the media team for doing that. I thought we got a kick out of it. It's fun to get the guys together and do that.
Kolton, when you look at how Caleb Rogers played well towards the end of last season when he got his opportunity, bringing in Tyler Linderbaum, drafting Trey high up, maybe having JPJ healthy more this season, do you have higher hopes and maybe even expectations heading into this season for the unit than maybe some other seasons?
Yeah, no, I have high expectations for everyone. It's the standard is higher. Guys are learning, guys are coming in. But the competition right now is first getting in the playbook and mastering that and getting footwork, everything, and then next is training camp. But no, it's great that we're back together and taking another step. So I'm looking forward to the process.
And Trey, in particular, what have you seen from him, and how tough is it to learn multiple positions as a rookie?
You say for Trey? Oh, yeah. I mean, he was a right left tackle. At Texas A&M and switch to center. Wow. Yeah, that's not easy. No, I mean he's he's a versatile guy. He works hard, takes notes. He's getting the most out of these days, which is what all you can ask as a rookie. The whole process when you get drafted. You're coming to the party late. You're not as caught up as the rest of the guys. So just see the focus from him along with the rest of the rookies has been great.
A couple minutes ago, you were talking about how you've been trying to go out of your way to make sure that you build camaraderie with this offensive line. Now being in the position now in your career as a leader, what are some things that you feel like you've learned from your vets that you are now trying to pass on to these other guys in the locker room now with your offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, first you got to be open. Open with your time. Reaching out, or it could be just the little points you give them. But also, it can go both ways. Young guys ask things, you fill them in as best you can. And with the camaraderie piece, again, spending time outside, spend an extra bit of time, like after practice, after meetings to meet with the rooks. I mean, but I always try to be open to that. I always try to be available and get the best I can out of the group.
Physically, it's obviously very hard to come back from injury, but take me through what that process has been like mentally.
Mentally, I think it's just you work it and when it first happened, mentally, it does wear on you, but I feel like when you adjust your habits and your your daily routine, it really simplified it, and through the process now, it's been night and day. I feel really good, and again enjoying the process and being out there with the guys has been really good.
How would you describe the mentality of the team in terms of having a few down years in a row? Is there a sense of optimism, or is it just about the work that you have to put in? Can you take us through where the team's frame is?
We all again, it's a new team. Everyone's kind of been in other spaces, and other teams. But right now we're finding our identity. We're coming together and getting work in each day. So that's all part of development.
You talked a little bit about Kirk, just watching him today. The passion and energy that he has is pretty evident. Just like, what does that do for the team, and what has his impact been on the team so far?
I think it's he's very direct, and I think that delivers a response to someone. You know, when someone says something, the way he says it, it's like, oh, all right, like let's go snap in, he's very on top of it. It's fires you up, a little bit. But no, he's been great.
We've been talking about the different scheme. When you guys don't have pads on, it's non-contact. Is it harder to implement those changes at this time of year than say training camp when you would have that option?
Training camp is ideal for hitting, and really finding, that's where the real competition starts. But OTAs, you got to walk before you can run. You got to be in the right spots, all that. Again, it's just mastering this process and just trying to get as much as we can out of the day.
That was Raiders left tackle Kolton Miller after today's OTA practice over at the Raiders facility in Henderson. Good to hear from Kolton. Last time I saw him, he was still on the little scooter with his ankle injury. Boy, you talk about a big injury last year. Kolton Miller, if you don't remember, and I know Raider fans do, but for anyone who doesn't, he only played 3.5 games last year. When you talk about how bad that offensive line was, yes, clearly there was a coaching issue, and clearly there was a personnel issue as well. But when you lose a Kolton Miller and you lose a Jackson Powers-Johnson, you're going to feel that. And in particular, Kolton Miller, he is the leader of that offensive line. I'm really happy for him that there's now a co-leader on the offensive line. He goes by the name of Tyler Lindenbaum. He happens to be one of the best centers in the game. And I would say the best center for what Klint Kubiak's offense asks of the offensive line, and specifically of the center position. There's not a better fit. You can't say that necessarily about every team out there with Tyler Lindenbaum. He's a specific type of a center, but it fits perfectly with what Klint Kubiak is trying to do. And he's a winner, and he's been part of a winning organization. He's been a high-level player, as has Kolton Miller. And for years now, really ever since the Raiders kind of transitioned from that experienced offensive line that they had, and moved on from some veteran players. They needed to free up some money, salary cap space, more than actual cash, to go address other positions. Kolton Miller was kind of left to be the leader, and it's been on his shoulders for that offensive line for multiple years now. Not to say that he's not been up to the task whatsoever, because he has been. But I know, from experience, just talking to veteran players. I remember Roger Saffold. I was talking to him about this before, when he was with the Rams. Before, they went out and made some key additions to help with some veteran leadership. And he was like, "Man, it's such a burden lifted off your shoulders when you're not the only guy that these players are coming to. These younger players are coming to." And he was talking specifically about the addition of Andrew Whitworth, and they had also brought in a center. A veteran center as well, John Sullivan. And rather than hearing like 5-6 other voices, what do I do now? How do I do this? How do I handle this? Which he was more than happy to do. I'm not saying that he wasn't suggesting that he wasn't. But you got to understand that these players they've got their own, assignments, their own responsibilities, their own careers. And when you're getting tugged in this direction and that direction by a bunch of young players, even as much as you want to help, it takes a little bit out of you. And so now to have somebody like a Tyler Linderbaum in the room with him means the world to a Kolton Miller, and it allows him now to, now you can split it up a little bit. 3 young guys go talk to Kolton, the other 3 go talk to Tyler. I'm not being a little bit facetious with that, but it spreads it out a little bit. It's only going to help the offensive line in general. But you get Tyler Linderbaum in the building, you get Kolton Miller back, you hopefully get Jackson Powers-Johnson back, and he stays on the field this year, something that he's had an issue doing, unfortunately, the first couple of years of his career. And all of a sudden, those are 3 pretty good building blocks, and now we'll see what Trey Zune's all about. Getting some reps over at right tackle, and it'll look like while it was hard to see everybody, and the offensive line was out on one of those far fields. It sounds like, and it looked like, he was getting the most reps. I don't want to make it sound like he was dominating the reps at right tackle, because Charles Grant and DJ Glaze were also in that mix. But just the fact that he got reps and got a lot of them over at right tackle is an important development, at least at this stage. It doesn't tell you everything that you're going to need to know or that we're going to need to know about that position moving forward. There's a long way to go, but just the fact that Trey was out there as a rookie getting a whole bunch of reps at right tackle, I think, was significant. It also tells you what the Raiders, think about what they have at guard. And I forgot to mention Spencer Burford, who's also in the building and a former starter, a guy who started for the San Francisco 49ers during the Super Bowl at a guard position. So you start looking at the dynamics of that offensive line with Spencer, with Tyler, with Trey being drafted. The dynamic of the offensive line looks a lot different than what it was when it ended the season. And we as we mentioned, Kolton Miller being back, Jackson Bowers-Johnson being back out there, and hopefully, knock on wood, he's able to stay healthy and stay out on the field. And of course, Rick Dennison, the new offensive line coach, who's kind of the polar opposite in terms of experience and track record of the previous coach, Brendan Carroll. And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but there's a vast difference between the level of experience, the level of respect for that experience in a Rick Dennison's case compared to a Coach Carroll case. And maybe in retrospect, that was not one of Pete Carroll's, greatest hires. It's you obviously love your son. You want to give your son, and you believe in your son, and you want to give him that opportunity. But, when you're talking about an offense, and we all always talk about where it all starts, and that is on the offensive line. And if you don't have talent, you don't have a good group dynamic in place, which the group dynamic in place has a lot to do with the coaching. If you don't have that, you're dead in the water. And we saw that last year with the Raiders, and unfortunately, it fell on Brendan Carroll's shoulders. He was the face of that offensive line, as the leader of the offensive line, as the head coach, as the offensive line coach. So he got a lot of the criticism, and he deserved a lot of the criticism. It's just how it goes. That's life, If you're not prepared for the criticism that might come with failing to do what you needed to do to get that offensive line in order, then that's not the job for you. You should have never taken the job. But that's last year, and that's yesterday's news. The news today is Kolton Miller's on track to be ready to start training camp and start the seasons, as is Jackson Powers-Johnson. You got a rookie now battling with a couple of young kids in Charles Grant and DJ Glaze for the right tackle spot. You've kind of revamped the guard position over the last couple of years. Caleb Rogers, by all accounts, looks bigger, and I'm sure his head is not swimming or spinning as much as it was last year. Think about the asset that he now has in Tyler Linderbaum to be able to go talk to. Hey, how about Jackson Powers-Johnson? I know Jackson Powers-Johnson fancies himself as a center, and maybe at some point in his career he'll go back to it. But right now, he's playing alongside one of the best centers in this game, and somebody that's going to help him at his position at guard. And if you're looking at Jackson Powers-Johnson, let's just say as a left guard, what a wonderful, beautiful world it is for you to be able to look to your left and see Kolton Miller and be able to play alongside him and tap into him, and look to your right, and there's Tyler Linderbaum, somebody that is one of the best in the business at what he does. That's just it's an entirely different picture for a player like Jackson Powers-Johnson, and it's an entirely different picture of this offensive line. And if they can get that in order, and right now it's all potential, it's all talk, but there's a lot of reason for optimism. I know, talking to some people in the building, how excited they are about this offensive line and the dynamic that Rick Dennison brings. Then that's a game changer for the Raiders offense. All of a sudden, your quarterback has more time to throw. We heard from Ashton Jeanty. He's going to have more time to run. And by the way, getting back to Ashton Jeanty, again, the comments that he said, if I don't have to, I don't want to be off the field. And I'm sitting back. I've been sitting back and hearing a lot of talk and people writing about almost like it's an assumption, like this is going to be some 50-50 thing. With Mike Washington, and nothing against Mike Washington whatsoever. I think he's a hell of a talent and a young player. But if you think that Ashton Jeanty is just going to sit back and let that happen, without having something to say about it, and something to say about it comes on the football field. I'm not talking about complaining. He's never going to do that. But he's going to let it known through actions, through performance, through production, that there's no need to be going to a 50-50 type thing here. I don't care how much you want to preserve me, quote unquote. And I loved what Klint Kubiak said. Preserve him. I'm looking to get more out of him, and that's how you should be looking at this. He was the 6th pick in the draft last year. He's a dynamic talent. He is a offensive player of the year caliber player. I'm not looking to do no 50-50 with Ashton Jeanty. Not even close to that. Now, if that's how it plays out, ultimately that's how it plays out. But this is your big dog at running back. And Mike Washington, if he's capable and he proves himself, which I have no doubts that he will, is going to get some burn. There's no question about it. But the thought of going into the season and going 50-50 with Ashton Jeanty, heck no. I know that he doesn't want anything to do with that, nor should he. And he's going to prove to that, and that's what he wants to do. And he kind of insinuated that, like, look, if I don't have to come off the field, I don't want to come off the field. I am a guy that can run the ball. I'm a guy that can catch the ball and make things happen. I'm a guy that can pass protect. I'm a guy that can do it all. So forget about any thought about a 50-50. I want to be out here the majority of the time. We talked about Josh Jacobs and how, remember, he never would come off the field, except when he was injured or something like that. But when he was physically able to be out there, he's like looking at John Gruden and looking at Josh McDaniels and said, don't even look my way because I'm not coming off the field. I'm here to do this. I'm here to run the ball and be somebody that's going to be able to carry this offense. And so don't even think about coming and get me because I'm not coming out. I'll let you know when I'm going to come out. And that's not arrogance. It's not being big-headed. It's not ego. It's just a belief in yourself and an understanding that you drafted me to do something for this offense, and I'm damn sure going to do that. And there's no reason to look anywhere else other than, there obviously you need to come off the field as a running back from time to time. There's no question about that, and that will happen. But this baked-in notion of trying to really balance it out on a 50-50 basis, why would you want to do that? You've got a dynamic player in Ashton Jeanty, hopefully a much better offensive line, hopefully a much better offensive system, hopefully a better passing game that's going to open things up for him. This guy is a home run hitting running back that could take it to the house at any given time. He's the type of running back that's going to go fight for 6-7 yards. He's going to get you first downs on short yardage situations. He's got a nose for the end zone. So in the red zone, when you want to get that ball over the line of over the end zone, over the goal line to score touchdowns, you give it to a guy like that. So it'll be interesting to see, how that all plays out. But it kind of starts as we talked about, hearing from Kolton Miller. It was great to hear from Kolton Miller. It had been a little while. When you're an injured player, you say hi to him in the locker room and how's it going, and you talk about the family and where you're going out to eat, da-da-da-da-da. But it's basically, you're hurt. There's no real need to talk to you other than how's the ankle doing. But it becomes a situation where, there's other guys to talk to because there's other guys that are playing. So it's great to hear from Kolton and see that he's ready to get back on the football field because he is a difference maker. I'm Vinny B. This is the JT the Brick Show. We want your thoughts on everything that you've heard today, and we'll play some more clips as the show goes on. We're here till we're here till 5 o'clock, or excuse me, 2 o'clock. I'm still in Florida at the owners' meetings. I'm here till 5 o'clock. We're here till 3 o'clock or 2 o'clock. What am I talking about here? 2 o'clock California time and Las Vegas time, 5 o'clock here in Florida. I apologize for that. It's JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny Bonsignor, 702-365-9200.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
Geno Smith is under center. Ashton the setback. Motion man is Tucker. Geno Smith rolls out to his left. He's got Jeanty in the flat. Catches it at the 5. Makes the turn into the end zone. Touchdown Raiders. Ashton Jeanty, his first career receiving touchdown. And the Raiders capitalize off the Max Crosby pick. March down the field and take a 6-3 late first quarter lead.
A lot slower, so just focusing in more on the details, what the defense is doing, how we're blocking things, coverage, all that type stuff. So it's definitely slowing down, and I think it's also just repetition as well. The more you rep it, the more the game slows down.
That was Ashton Jeanty just a little while ago, actually, speaking to the Raiders media out in Henderson at the practice facility after today's OTA session, and hopefully going to be hearing a lot more about that, those types of things, catching touchdowns, running for first downs, catching third down passes that go for first downs as an impact player. And I think he's primed for a big season, assuming everything else gets fixed and put together, which I think the Raiders are on their way to doing. Hey, real quick before we go back and listen to the last part of Klint Kubiak, because we didn't get a chance to hear the last 5 minutes or so of Coach Kubiak. I wanted to bring up real quick the transaction yesterday, the 25% of the Raiders that was sold to a group headed by Egon Durbin and Michael Meldman, just so that we get everybody that deserves some recognition involved. The group that purchased that 25% were Silver Lake managing partner and co-CEO Egon Durbin, Discovery Land Company founder and chairman Michael Meldman, Dell founder Michael Dell, Blackstone founder Joseph Beretta, WME CEO Ari Emanuel, and TKO president Mark Shapiro. When I say that is a power-packed all-star group of thinkers and visionaries and winners, basically, at the end of the day, winners in life, winners in the business world and in the worlds that they operate in. That is not an understatement whatsoever. That is exactly what that is, and that's a powerful group of people that are coming into this organization, and there already were great people. Sandra Douglas, is somebody that has been the president and CEO of this football team for a few years now, and she's every bit on that level and has done remarkable things with this organization. And now and a bunch of other great people that have come into this organization, with Sandra Douglas Morgan and the Tom Brady's. The people that are part of this organization in a big major way now for this group to come in and start adding their visionary and ideas, I think sets the stage for a great future for the Raiders. And as Al Davis always said, the future of the Raiders lies, or the greatness of the Raiders lies in the future. And I can't remember a time where that future was set up as well as it is right now. And credit to Mark Davis for having the vision to put this all together. Okay, without further ado, we didn't get a chance to hear Klint Kubiak's last 5 minutes because some players started coming to the podium. So here's Klint Kubiak rejoining his media session today from the practice facility in Henderson.
What's been your impressions of Fernando Mendoza thus far and the way he's been trying to pick up the offense?
As advertised, he is not disappointed. He's working his tail off. It's very important to him. Asks a lot of great questions. When he gets on the field, he's no BS. He's all ball.
Is there anything that you've learned through this OTA's process about being a head coach and kind of taking that step back and taking control of the entire team rather than just the offense?
Yeah, obviously learning that on the fly. We hired these assistants for a reason, so we got to trust them to do their jobs. And I know the Raiders brought me here for a reason as well. To coach offense, so I'm going to be spending a lot of time with the offense and got to make sure I get that right, all the while being with the whole team. But Robbie Leonard and Joe DeCamillis, two phenomenal coaches that I'm really happy to have leading their units.
What is Terrell Johnson's status, and also didn't see Kobe being out there today either?
Yeah, it's a voluntary time of year. Can't wait to get those guys back. Really fired up for the guys that are here. But been in contact with both of those guys, and they've been doing a great job. Some here, some away.
What are the signs that you'll see that Fernando is making progress, that he's making the strides you want him to make?
Completions, getting the ball to playmakers and letting them work on time. That's the progress we want to see.
Speaking of playmakers, one of the guys you talked about early on when you took the job was Trey Tucker. What have you seen from him now that you guys have actually been on the field a little bit?
Really no surprise there from what you've seen previously. You know, he can run all day. He's a quiet leader, a guy that we're going to put in a leadership role. You know, he's got to be a playmaker for us, and he has been. And now let's go see what else we can get out of him.
I know you don't want to make comparisons, but does he remind you of somebody you may have coached in the past with his skill set?
Yes, it's not. Sometimes that's not fair to say out loud, but when you got a guy that's that size and that competitive and works that hard, there's not a whole lot of humans on the planet that can put as many yards on the field at that high of a speed. So he's been really impressive.
Being a part of your first draft as a head coach, how rewarding is it to kind of see those pieces come to life on the field?
Yeah, really fun to get all these young bucks in here. I think I can't say enough great things about what John Spytak has done for this roster, you know, and I think about the type of people that he's brought in. You know, we're not out there coaching effort right now. We're not out there coaching accountability. We drafted that part, and it's hard to coach those things. You stress them every day, but those guys really love football, and now they're going to be in position to play fast. So look forward to seeing their development.
Trey Zoom was playing a lot of right tackle today. Is that the position that you all see him playing at going forward, or is it going to be moving around a little bit more?
Yeah, really drafted Trey to be able to play a lot of positions. So whether it's tackle, guard, center, he's learning it all. He's got everything between the ears to do that, and so we're going to give him a chance to help us on all areas of the line.
How pleased, or I guess just how would you evaluate the process that you've had of just installing everything you want to install, offensively, defensively, what you want the practice to look like, film sessions, that sort of thing? Where are you at in just kind of evaluating that process?
Yeah, well, really never pleased. Really, we can always be better. We're always, very critical of ourselves with how can we get the most out of these every hour for these players in a positive way, and let them know that we are not wasting their time. We've put in the work for them to give them productive days. So I think you're always trying to improve there. We're off to a solid start. Everyone's undefeated right now, right? But we know sooner or later that it's going to get real competitive, and we got to find out, who's the guys we can count on in those stressful situations, coaches included.
I know it's early in the process, but how do you earn your shield?
How do you earn your shield? Well, we'll find out if we get it by training camp. If we can uphold the standard that we put in front of these players in our team meeting, if our conditioning level is where it needs to be, if we can practice the right way, if we can handle our business outside of the building, if we can represent the shield the right way, then we'll put it back on.
Would that be Bowers seeing him up close now?
Who's that?
Brock Bowers up close.
Yeah, he's kind of a football robot in a good way. He's a football robot from heaven. He's a Cadillac out there. We got to get the most out of Brock. Wherever he goes, he's been successful in college and high school, whoever's coached him. Just can't say enough great things about him. Love his work ethic. He is a standard bearer.
In Stokes, his versatility in the secondary, what kind of key piece is he going to be?
You said Stokes? Yeah, that's why we drafted him. Very similar to Trey Zoom, a guy that can play a lot of spots, a guy that has leadership. And those are all the things he did in college, but now he's got to go show it at this level. He's off to a good start. And, he's got some really, really talented coaches that are leading him. But I can't, when he walks out there, he's dialed in, he knows what to do. And he's a guy that just kind of finds his way around the ball.
Just to clarify on the shield thing, it sounds like you're talking more of a team thing, that it's not like individuals get it one at a time?
Correct, yes.
That was Klint Kubiak, and I love the two-word answer, correct, yes. That's exactly what I was talking about Adam Hill from Las Vegas Review-Journal. Short and to the point, everything that was always advertised about Klint Kubiak, and I've always said this, be who you are and don't try to fake it and don't try to change who you are just because you're the head coach in terms of how you communicate. And all of that, and Klint is kind of a to the point coach, and that's perfectly fine. I was joking yesterday. Ran into Mike McDaniel, the offensive coordinator with the Chargers. He was part of the accelerator program here at the NFL owners meetings, and his first, not his first, but I went into the Chargers rookie mini camp. And they put Mike McDaniel out there to talk about the rookies, and it was a 38-minute session. 38 minutes. the Klint Kubiak, the head coach of the Raiders, I think it was 11 minutes. I think it was the duration of his, and he was talking about the whole team. So everybody does it a little bit differently, but I like, I like that he's just himself, and the players are probably going to have a little bit of fun with that. And I'm sure it's not quite like that behind the scenes as I think it was Erick Stokes was talking about, and he'll drop a few jokes here and there and, keep it lively, but he is going to be who he is, and that's fine. And I'll tell you what stood out to me, one of the things, because there were many things that stood out to me hearing from the three players and Klint Kubiak was Klint saying, hey, look, the Raiders brought me here for a reason, and that's to fix the offense. And we've been talking about this offense for multiple years now, how bad it's been. It's been broken. The Raiders' offense for the last 3.5 years or so has been absolutely 1,000% broken, and it got broker as we went along. There was a couple of years where we're going, it can't get any worse than this, and when they're right around, can they just score 20 points a game when they were at 19 points a game and hovered around 18 points a game? There was no way that it was going to be able to get worse, but it did last year. They dropped down to 14 points a game. It's almost impossible to score that few points. But it was the result of a lot of different things. Bad offensive line play, bad coaching, injuries played a role. The quarterback never being able to feel comfortable back there in Geno Smith. And even when there were opportunities for him to be a little bit comfortable out there, for whatever reason, maybe it was just the fact that he kind of understood that people are breathing down my neck every time I drop back to pass. There were poor decisions made by him, and that led to interceptions and turnovers. It was so dysfunctional last year. But Klint Kubiak has been brought in to fix that, and it sounds like early in his Raider tenure, that's going to be where the primary focus of his is, and that's on the offense, which I completely support. I know he's the head coach of the entire team. That's not going to change. He's not going to forget about the defense. He's not going to go over there and build relationships with the defense. But I do equate it. This reminds me so much of that Rams plan in 2017 when they went in and got Sean McVay and brought in all his offensive coaches because they had a broken offense and they needed to get it fixed. And they had a first-round pick, the first pick overall in their draft, in the 2016 draft, Jared Goff, who they needed to get fixed and to develop and to get him to his ceiling. And that's exactly what the Raiders are doing right now. What does Sean McVay do? He hires a Wade Phillips. Now, hiring Rob Leonard to be the defensive coordinator, that's not quite the same move. But basically, what Clint's going to do is rely on his defensive assistants, Rob Leonard among them, to really run the defense and let Klint be able to focus on the offense, which is what Sean McVay did when he brought in Wade Phillips and said, look, take care of the defense. I have got to get this offense fixed. That's going to be where the bulk of my attention is going to be paid, at least through the early stages of my tenure here. Because if I don't get this right, I'm not going to be here long enough to get that other part of it correct, or to start building those relationships and be evolving into the head coach of the entire team once we can get this offense fixed. And I can not necessarily back off, because I think for his duration, he's always going to be the play caller. That's what his thing is, much like a Sean McVay and some other, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, the great offensive minds in this game. You want the best offensive mind in the building, calling the plays and designing it and everything like that. But as the years go on and the more he gets that fixed, the more he's going to be able to delegate, the more he's going to be able to now go to the other side of the line of scrimmage and really be the head coach of the entire team. But they're not there yet. And I think that it's refreshing that he completely understands that. Because, again, he's an offensive-minded head coach who was brought in here because of his offensive brilliance that he has put on display in multiple stops, culminating with him going to Seattle, which that offense was kind of broken, from the year before. I know Geno had a pretty decent season that last year, but there's a reason why they moved on from that offensive coordinator. There's a reason why they moved on from him and ultimately traded him to the Raiders. There's a reason why they went out and signed Sam Darnold. Their running game was not good. The offensive line was not good. Klint Kubiak comes in with his offensive staff, a few of those guys who he brought with him to Las Vegas, and got that thing fixed. And that's what ended up helping them win the Super Bowl, and that's what ended up putting him on the radar in a major way across the league, and ultimately why the Raiders brought him in, because they're saying to him, need you to fix this offense, man. This thing's been a big problem for years, and it's cost us seasons. It's cost us games. It's cost jobs. It's cost people to lose sleep. It's cost people to lose hair. It's just caused the fan base to just throw their arms up in despair. We got to get this offense fixed, and you're the guy that we're asking to do that. And I know that he knows what that role is. It's not going to take him away from being the head coach of the team, but I think part of that is going to be subdued a little bit as he really focuses in on that offense. And that means getting Ashton Jeanty, maximizing Ashton Jeanty. We talk about maximizing, Fernando Mendoza, and that's pretty obvious. You want to get the most out of, the number one pick in the draft and get him to his ceiling. But how about Ashton Jeanty? You think about the opportunities that were lost last year because there was so much dysfunction going on that offensive line and just the offense in general, and what that cost Ashton Jeanty. This guy, you put him on the San Francisco 49ers with that offensive line that they had, or just name a good team with a you put him on the Rams. I'm sorry, we'll talk about the Rams, and they had a really good offensive line. You put him in a great situation like that, which is what the Raiders aspire to be, which is what Klint Kubiak has been hired to do. You put him on that type of a team, and he's going to be on the highlight reels every single Sunday, every single day, that every single time that he gets on the football field, because that's the kind of player that he is, and that's part of what Klint Kubiak was brought here to do: lead the entire team, but get that, first and foremost, get that offense figured out and fixed, because it's been a big problem for too many years. This is the JT the Brick Show. I'm Vinny Bonsignor. We'll be back to wrap it up, hear a little bit more from the players and Kubiak, and maybe get your thoughts at 702-365-9200.
Back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCasta Verde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
Yeah, no, we're working together. We're teaming up on these installs, but Rob's running the show. He's done a great job. He's got a lot of talented assistants, with Joe Woods, and there's some veteran coaches on there that are doing a great job. And we're gonna put Coach Robbie in positions to call it periods here in OTAs and in training camp, so that he's ready to go come the season.
As Raiders head coach Klint Kubiak a little while ago from the Raiders practice facility, talking after the Raiders OTA session, which was open to the media. There's, I think, 2 more that'll be open to the media. Remember, they do about 3 per week. You get a certain amount of OTAs available to you, OTA practices, I should say. 1 per week are open to the media, and then typically it all culminates with a mini camp. It's a mandatory mini camp that the media gets a chance to watch all 3 of those practices. So and then have access after all 3 of those practices. By the way, brought up Taron Johnson, the cornerback, who is not participating in OTAs right now. There's a contract situation. We've gotten into that. He wants, basically, in a nutshell, he's got 2 years left on his contract, but it's a non-guaranteed amount. It's about just over $18 million that he's due between this year and next season. It's not guaranteed. And the $8 million and change contract or salary that he has for this year becomes guaranteed after the first week. So it's not necessarily about this year's salary. It's more he wants to get as much, if not all, of next year's salary guaranteed. I'm not quite sure the Raiders are going to do that. Obviously, they haven't been willing to do it as of yet. It's why he's not there. We'll see how that gets sorted out. I would not, I'd be surprised if he didn't play, just because there's too much money at stake. There's still, after 1 week, $8 million that he stands to make. It's not easy to find a line of work where you can make $8 million or recoup $8 million. So his best bet probably will be to come back and play this year, kick ass, stay on the field. and the Raiders will be much more inclined to bring him back for an additional, I think it's $9 million next year. So we'll see how that all works out. The other player that was not out there, veteran player, was Nakobe Dean. Not quite sure what that was, but he just signed a contract, so then that's not going to be a contract situation. Might have been a perfect reason why he wasn't there or getting work done elsewhere. So we'll find out about that see if he's out there for the next OTA that's open to the media. I want to say thank you to Clay Baker for handling all the assignments today, getting us in and out of Henderson. That's not the easiest thing to do, but he was Johnny on the spot and was able to navigate that quite well. If Klint Kubiak can navigate the offense this year, as well as Clay did the boards, I think the Raiders are going to be in good shape. Next up, obviously, is Q Myers with unnecessary roughness. He'll be here from 2 to 5. I've got my time zones straightened out. From 2 to 5, he'll have plenty of thoughts on OTAs. I'm Vinny Monsignor. I'll be back tomorrow on the Morning Tailgate Show and JT the Brick from 12 to 2.